I'm not sure what the point of this MRI was, because the cause of my pain and the whole reason I was there, it shows up very clearly in the images. You can see it's head trauma that's gone unmanaged for about a year. You got parasites in there, very large parasites evident, different species. Yeah, how do you get 3-inch long worms in your neck? They got to have a food source, and that's an open wound that's not healing, and that is the crack or break in the underside of my skull. And it says here, recent MRI negative. Okay, if you actually look at the picture, it's negative for what? Because you can see the entire reason why you need to take an MRI in the first place. If you look at the pictures, and this is part of the problem with American doctors, I believe. They don't give the proper amount of attention to each patient or healthcare case, because their schedules are booked solid in the interest of making money. And stuff like this, they don't look at the pictures anymore. They get a written report from somebody else, they read those results, and they don't take it any farther. So yeah, instead of trying to make me look like a bad guy, you might want to re-examine your alliance out there, your partnerships, your affiliate status, or whatever the case may be. Because I'm telling you, this is not going to be a relationship that's going to produce much fruit going into the future. You don't understand what I'm talking about. You don't need to be doing business. Yeah, it makes no sense whatsoever. They admit mastoiditis, okay, but only because the hospital, St. Vincent St. mentioned a strain of muscle in that area. Yeah, and it's just a big word game. If you got mastoiditis, that's it's in your jaw area, in your head. All right. I go in, I'm complaining about pain that I can feel. It's in the upper area of my neck. Okay, your skull, it starts at the upper area of your neck. Okay, they take the MRI scan, they do another cervical deal. The images, the report from the radiologist at St. Vincent's shows there's nothing there, pretty much. But if you actually look at the pictures, you can see I've got a broken skull, in the same pictures that they choose not to look at because they're covering a cervical area only. This makes no sense. It's totally insane. So, to find out what's wrong with me, they didn't even bother to tell me, hey, you might want to do another scan, and this time get an MRI of your head, your skull. They didn't do that. All right. Yeah, and it doesn't matter if they even did a head exclusive scan, because you go back to the original CT, the broken skull, it shows up clearly on the CT. That's on one set. It shows up. I think it shows up on the cervical set, and it shows up on the skull set. They did two different scanning series. But if you look at the forward-backward scan they did of my skull, you can see in that area where the injury exists that they cropped it out. It makes no sense. So the injury wound up in some kind of no man's land, apparently, and it doesn't matter if I get a scan of my cervical or skull, they're not going to acknowledge it. What's going on with this stuff?